Ryan Gosling to play the Wolfman. We break down the new Perry Mason trailer, and it's finally confirmed Sonic the Hedgehog is getting a sequel. All that and more here on OneTake Daily. Welcome to OneTake Daily, where we talk about the latest TV and film news every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Before we get into all that, I'm Gil, here with my tech guy / brother, Alun.
Yo!
And a quick reminder, if you haven't done so already, hit that subscribe button and, of course, the bell icon so you get notified the next time we go live. Happy Friday, Alun.
Happy Friday.
Isn't it funny how even during the quarantine and how weird life is right now, Fridays are still awesome?
Yeah, it is actually kind of weird, especially because we don't do anything all day.
Exactly, yeah. It's just hardwired into our brain to be excited about Friday. And I woke up today, felt really good, and I wanted to try and change things up for these live streams for the Daily Show. So we, as you know, whenever we do the big headlines, like today, Ryan Gosling as Wolfman, we cut out that segment of the video, release it separately, and that's for the mainstream audiences, right? That's for the folks on YouTube who want to hear us talk about the headlines. But I thought to make it a little bit more fun, I was thinking about how on the radio, there's all that fun banter between the DJs, between songs. I want to do that, except instead of the songs, it's the headlines. So we'll have banter, talk about stuff like how awesome Friday is. And then I'll tell you when we're going into the headline, and I'll go into YouTube mode.
And I'll have to get more serious.
That's right. Yeah,
okay.
No more jokes.
No more
I was going to say yucks, and then I said jokes instead. All right, are you on board?
A board?
Yeah, exactly.
What?
On board.
Oh, am I on board?
It's going great already.
Yeah.
All right, ready for the first headline?
Yeah.
Ryan Gosling as the Wolfman. So Universal has been trying for a little while now to reboot their Universal Monsters franchise for a while now. We had that false start with Tom Cruise as the Mummy. Remember that one? Yeah, that one was, we didn't even see it, but it was a little rough from what people tell me. Variety reported a few hours ago that Universal is moving forward with Wolfman as their next Universal Monsters property now. Not only that, but they're saying it's going to be developed as a movie for Ryan Gosling to star in. And they're currently meeting with directors. They haven't chosen who's going to direct it yet, but it looks like Corey Finley is in the mix. Corey Finley most recently directed Bad Education with Hugh Jackman, and that movie was pretty well received. So they recently saw success with The Invisible Man, and they're hoping to repeat that success with Wolfman. Owen, do you have any nostalgia or any interest in the Universal Monsters franchise?
Very little, but there's some.
There's something there. Probably The Mummy with Brendan Fraser.
Yeah,
I'm assuming.
Those movies were always a lot of fun. I was watching actually the first two a couple weeks ago.
There you go.
TV.
I watched some of them with you. And I didn't watch many of the original Universal Monster movies. Of course, I saw Frankenstein. But the way I look at the Universal Monsters is I have some irrational nostalgia for them. Even though I didn't watch a lot of the movies, I like the vibe of them. I like the spooky horror vibe. And they were kind of the marvel of their time. With the Universal Monsters, you had the crossovers, the spin-offs. After Frankenstein, there was Bride of Frankenstein. Frankenstein meets the Wolfman. Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein. And it kind of bums me out that today we don't get those movies. So I'm happy that Universal is starting to find success again. Like I said, Invisible Man with Elizabeth Moss. I haven't seen it. Elizabeth Moss. I haven't seen it yet, but supposed to be great. Now, what kind of tone are they going for with Wolfman? I'm assuming it's going to be a serious, somewhat dark take. Ryan Gosling, typically a pretty dramatic actor. Invisible Man was somewhat of a dark movie. So I'm assuming this will follow a similar vibe. I like that, but I do also hope we get some of those fun Universal Monster movies like Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein. And I have a feeling we might get some of that. So Paul Feig, the creator of Freaks and Geeks, the director of the Ghostbusters reboot, we recently saw is going to be making a Dark Army movie, which will sort of cross over some of these Universal Monsters. We don't have any details yet, but the fact that it's Paul Feig tells me it'll be one of the lighter, more fun movies. Any thoughts, Alon, on Wolfman, Ryan Gosling as Wolfman, or the direction the Universal franchise is going?
Yeah, I mean, when they take these monsters like Wolfman, I don't know too much about it, but it feels a little goofy to me. But if you can take something like that and take it seriously and do it right, like, that's awesome. Like, I'm in.
Yeah, and Wolfman is ripe for a serious take. And I mean, I think the original Wolfman was serious, and you can easily see how. I mean, a guy that's turning into a monster has to chain himself up so he doesn't kill his loved ones. Easily could do a good, serious take on that. And Ryan Gosling's a great actor, so it seems like they're taking it in a good direction. And I think that wraps it up for our Wolfman story. Alon, for the Perry Mason trailer. And by the way, Greg B in the chat. Hello, Greg B. Welcome back. He says, oof. I'm assuming that's in response to Ryan Gosling as Wolfman. Greg, is that because you're not a fan of Wolfman, not a fan of Ryan Gosling, or you just don't like monsters? And Adam in the chat says, Michael Richards as the Frankenstein monster, please. Michael Richards is ripe for a comeback, right?
Yeah, it's time.
And it should be in a good, serious role like Frankenstein. Yeah, Adam? He'll chime in on the side. So for the Perry Mason trailer, Alon, I thought about doing one of those reaction videos that everyone does on YouTube. And apparently, though, for reaction videos, you're supposed to not have already seen whatever you're watching because you want to get the genuine reaction. And then we both watched the trailer before this.
Well, I asked you if I should watch it literally right before this, and you said yes.
But I had already seen it, and if you're the one reacting, you're not even on screen, so it would only be verbal reactions.
You could have just looked at my reaction and mimicked it.
Oh, yeah, that would have been great. Yeah. We'll do that for the next trailer.
Sounds good.
What do you think about this phenomenon, by the way, the reaction videos on YouTube?
I've probably accidentally watched like one and then never again. I quickly learned not to use the word reaction in my YouTube searches.
Yeah.
But I know that we were using them in our titles at first.
We got smacked around a bit for that.
Yeah.
We would put up a video called Watchmen Episode 7 Reaction. And then commenters would say, where's the reaction? What is this? This is a discussion, not a reaction. And that was my introduction
There's too much depth to this video.
Exactly. What's with all the talking? I just want to see this. Whoa. Wow. Did you see that? And anybody who's watching this that does reaction videos, we're not putting down reaction videos. They're just not our cup of tea. But Perry Mason. So HBO just released a new Perry Mason trailer. Perry Mason was a very popular TV series in the late 50s into the 60s. It was adapted from a book. It was so popular, they had a radio series, movie, and the TV series. That was the most popular iteration of the character. HBO is doing a limited series, a Perry Mason reboot, based on those books, starring Matthew Rhys, who you would have recently seen in A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. So Perry Mason, this remake, takes place in 1931 Los Angeles. Here's the premise. While the rest of the country recovers from the Great Depression, this city is booming. Oil, Olympic Games, talking pictures, evangelical fervor, and a child kidnapping gone very, very wrong. Based on characters created by Earl Stanley Gardner, the limited series follows the origins of American fiction's most legendary criminal defense lawyer, Perry Mason. When the case of the decade breaks down his door, Mason's relentless pursuit of the truth reveals a fractured city and just maybe a pathway to redemption for himself.
Did you say a child kidnapping gone wrong? How
Yes.
can a child kidnapping ever go right?
That's a great question. A question that I feel like we shouldn't explore too much in this video. So when you just watched the trailer right before we went live, what did you think of the Perry Mason trailer?
I was intrigued. I like the whole vibe of it. The main character seems interesting, and that one woman loves to yell stuff about the devil a lot, which
That's
is pretty
right.
cool.
Tatiana Maslany, I believe is the actress's name. She does like to yell a lot, and she did. That was the kind of scene in the trailer that I thought could have been really cheesy and over the top. I thought she sold it though. I think she did a good job in that sequence. By the way, I asked my dad what he thought of the original series because he watched it back in the day, and the word-for-word review I got from him was, it was good. It was on TV. And then he said the books were better. But anyway, my first reaction watching the trailer is that it was more emotional than I expected. I did think that they might be laying it on a little bit thick. It kind of reminded me of Lego Batman, the I only wear black or sometimes dark gray. You see him getting tortured, and then you see him in a room all by himself, just screaming because of how frustrated he is. Hopefully, it just comes off a little bit over the top because it's a trailer. They may have just taken a lot of those dark scenes and cut them all together. So when you see it in context, over the course of 8 episodes, sort of parsed out, maybe it works a little bit better. I will say the actor, Matthew Rhys, perfectly captures the I'm super dark and I have a bunch of crap going on in my head. He wears that on his face really well. He literally frowns. And I find that in the real world, people don't often literally curve their lips in a downward frown style. So he perfectly captures that. I thought it was funny while you were watching it. I knew you were going to react to the sequence. You said, "Oh, I like this war flashback."
Oh, yeah.
Anytime there is a war sequence in a movie and the Irishman, you always get excited about that. What's with that one?
I don't know. I love like World War II, that whole vibe.
Right.
Love it.
Yeah, I think for me, it's just so ripe for emotional resonance. When you see war and you see how it impacts a person's life, it's just so ripe for dramatic content.
There's something about characters with PTSD from a war that makes them very interesting.
Right. It's a struggle that's interesting to watch, and it also highlights that this will be an origin story for Perry Mason. By the way, Xavier Lee in the chat says, "Yo, what's up, guys?" What's up, Xavier Lee? Thanks for joining. Chime in if you've had a chance to watch the Perry Mason trailer, or if not, go watch it quickly. Come back, tell us what you thought of it. I did roll my eyes a little bit at all the conspiracy stuff. You're saying the police are involved? The cops, the church, everybody. It feels like anytime there's a detective show, it always spirals into some grand conspiracy. But I'll give them benefit of the doubt. And Perry Mason was one of the OG detectives. So if they're pulling this from some of the original material, I'll go easy on them. That's everybody else was stealing from them, not the other way around. Also, great to see Robert Patrick, the T-1000 from Terminator 2, getting a good role here. He was only in the trailer for a few seconds, but it's always good to see him back in action.
I never remember his name. Every time I see him, I just think John Doggett.
John Doggett. Who's John Doggett again?
It's behind you, man.
John Doggett from X-Files.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, he was introduced late in the game, late in the series as basically Mulder's replacement. So I have high hopes for this show. All 8 episodes are directed by Tim Van Patten. He directed episodes of Boardwalk Empire, Black Mirror, Deadwood, Game of Thrones, The Pacific, The Sopranos, and The Wire. So he's got an incredible resume. I also love when you have one director doing an entire series.
Mm-hmm.
That's when you get a singular vision. That's when you get consistency and quality across every episode. David Fincher directed, I think, the first 2 or 3 episodes of Mindhunters, and I didn't watch that series except for, I think, the first couple of episodes. And from what I hear, once he leaves the show and hands it off to other people, there is a change in the vibe, a change in the quality.
Yeah, I saw season 1 of that show.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was great.
Yeah.
Season 2 kind of lost me a little bit, though.
Yeah. I mean, I watched a couple episodes of season 1, liked what I saw. I think the show's kind of in hiatus right now. I don't even know if it's coming back. But any other thoughts, Alon, on Perry Mason?
No, I love the whole detective vibe, and I hope it's good.
I'm ready for another detective show. It's been a while since I've gotten invested in a hard-boiled, classic detective investigating stuff. Can't wait. And that comes out, I believe, June 21st next month. So look forward to that. We'll be covering that show here on OneTake. So make sure to hit the subscribe button and the bell icon so you get notified the next time we go live, the next time we talk about Perry Mason. That's it for Perry Mason Alone. So for those of you that just joined the chat and missed the beginning of this, we're trying a slightly different format today with the Daily Show, where between the headlines, we're going to get a little bit more casual. If Daniel's in the chat, that's our younger brother, he might call in and say hello. Alon, for our banter topics, one of the things I was thinking about is Cobra Kai.
Yeah.
That show had 2 seasons. and it was on YouTube. It's leaving YouTube, apparently. They're debating which streaming service it's going to go to next. Maybe Hulu, maybe Netflix. Should we give this show another chance?
I was shocked at all the good things I heard about it.
Mm-hmm.
It's supposedly really good. We watched like one episode, and we weren't sure the show was for us.
Super cliched. I don't remember all the details of it, but it felt like they were using every classic cliched beat we've seen in this sort of a show or a movie. And maybe that was part of it. I mean, the show has this built-in nostalgia. It's supposed to have a comedic element to it. So maybe it was intentional that they were sort of not exactly spoofing, but remixing those familiar elements. I think we got to go back and watch at least one or two more episodes.
All right.
Committed on air. That means it's going to happen. All right, Ellen, you ready for our next headline?
Yeah.
You know about that movie Sonic?
The little blue guy?
That's right.
Yeah, he collects the coins.
Yeah, not who is the name that she wrote down in Jeopardy?
Donkey King.
King, that's right.
Apparently that whole thing was fake.
Damn.
Yeah.
It sucks when you find out that those awesome internet things are fake. Like Leroy Jenkins. Yeah. That whole thing?
Hoax.
Staged by a voice actor, I think. I found that out just a couple months ago.
Yeah, but it led to some great cultural references in Barry.
Well, oh, that's right. That's a show. I can't wait for Barry to come back. Xavier Lee in the chat, by the way, says Matthew Rise, John Lithgow, the guy from The Americans, good cast. That's right. Perry Mason, great director, great cast. Every once in a while, I forget what show you were talking about or what movie. You said the same thing about another show we were watching, but it feels like whoever's behind it just decides, you know what? Let's make this good.
Oh.
Let's get a good director, good writer. Let's just make it a good show.
Was
Why
it
not?
Gangs of London?
Gangs of London, yeah. That's right. I've been watching this show, Gangs of London. We finally got Alon to sit down and watch episode 1. If you haven't watched that show, you need to check it out. That is just one of the best shows I've seen in years. It's incredible.
But you've only seen 2 episodes, right?
I've only seen 2 episodes, but from what I hear, it maintains that quality. Anyway, Alon, speaking of Donkey Kong, Sonic the Hedgehog is finally getting a sequel. Variety reported today that a Sonic the Hedgehog sequel is officially in the works. They're bringing back the original director, Jeff Fowler, and original writers Pat Casey and Josh Miller. They haven't revealed any other plot details for this movie, but if you saw the first Sonic movie, you can probably guess where they're going. Alon, you haven't seen Sonic, right?
No.
Neither have I. I read some spoilers, so I will warn, spoilers for Sonic the Hedgehog coming up in 3 seconds. 3, 2, 1. You don't mind if I spoil it, right?
I do actually, so.
Oh, no. Okay, well, this stream is over. No, so at the end of Sonic, Dr. Robotnik gets sent to a mushroom planet, loses his mind, and begins to plot his revenge. And then in a post-credit sequence, Tails shows up through one of Sonic's ring portals and tries to track down Sonic. So we can imagine Robotnik comes back, seeking revenge. Tails is in the mix. He joins forces with Sonic. What do you think, Alon?
I'm not watching it unless we get Knuckles.
Yeah, Knuckles would be great. I loved when they introduced him in the original series. He's kind of the more badass version of Sonic.
No, you're thinking of Shadow.
Oh, that was late stage Sonic, right? Alon, why haven't you watched the original Sonic movie?
Isn't it a kid's movie?
It is sort of a kid's movie, but it is one of the best video game movies of all time, at least based on Rotten Tomatoes. So I do plan to watch Sonic at some point. I have a similar desire to watch this movie as I do the Scoob movie. Even though they're both kids' movies, they have that tied-in nostalgia for me. And even though I haven't seen it, I'm glad Sonic did well, and I'm glad it's turning into a franchise, because I think it's going to make Hollywood a little bit more willing to go after these video game adaptations. And because we had the big fan backlash when they released that original, grotesque, horrifying Sonic, hopefully that's teaching them the lesson. Hey, crazy idea. When you're adapting something, maybe remain faithful to the source material. So I like the lessons learned from the Sonic movie. If you could have them adapt any video game franchise that you're into, what would you pick to see them do next?
Got 2.
Okay.
Zelda, obviously, but I would want it to be done anime style.
Right, so not a live action. You'd rather Zelda be a Netflix series.
Yeah,
like
Castlevania.
There were rumors, I can't remember his name now, but the guy who made the Castlevania series, he tweeted last year, major announcement, I'm adapting another video game property. I'm going to announce it on Twitter in a few days. Everybody thought it was going to be Zelda. Turned out to be Devil May Cry. Which still cool, but man, I wish it was a Zelda TV show. What's the other one, though?
Mass Effect.
Mass Effect. That would make a great... That's one of those games where when you play it, I don't even pick up the controller, but I sit down next to you and I watch because it's such a great story, such great world building. Those aliens that can't express emotions, so they just say it.
Yeah.
And they go sarcastically.
Yeah.
That would make a great movie. Alon, top 5 video game movies ever according to Rotten Tomatoes. Don't look at my notes. Did you already look?
No.
Okay, can you guess what 1 or 2 of them are before I tell you?
Mario.
No. Mario? The
kidding.
Mario Brothers movie? No way.
Top 5 video game adaptations. Is Sonic on there already?
Yeah, based off Rotten Tomatoes score.
Oh, okay. Sonic.
That's right. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you. 5 down to 1. Number 5, Rampage with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. I was surprised to see that on there. I was also surprised to see in the number 4 spot, Tomb Raider, the new Tomb Raider, not the original with Angelina Jolie. Then at number 3, you've got Sonic the Hedgehog. Number 2, Pokemon Detective Pikachu. And in a number 1 spot, this one's pretty shocking, Angry Birds 2. Not the first one. By the way, Pokemon Detective Pikachu, that's a movie that before it came out, I remember you turned to me apropos of nothing and just said, we should see Detective Pikachu when it comes out.
I remember at the time there wasn't much in theaters, and I kind of wanted to go to the theaters.
Yeah, it's another one we still haven't seen.
It looked fun.
It looked fun. We got to watch that one too. That, and what was the other one we said? Oh, Sonic. We got to watch those two. Any other thoughts on the Sonic film franchise? Anything that you know from the video games that you'd like to see them bring into a sequel?
Yeah, the casino level.
Oh, yeah. They could do more. Having not seen the movie, they could do more to bring in more of the level design from the game. Because from what I understand, it maybe starts with him on his world, then he comes to our world. I want to see him in his Sonic crazy environment.
Yeah.
Yes, maybe they can bring some of that back. Anyway, I think that wraps it up for Sonic Talk. Alon.
What?
So we're back to Between the Headlines. I love
banter.
This is fun, right? Are you enjoying the little behind-the-scenes look, how we prepare for our headlines and the banter?
Am I enjoying the behind-the-scenes look? I'm behind the scenes already.
So we mentioned Scoob on during that segment.
Right.
I wanted to go into Scoob with an open mind. I wanted to watch it. And usually I can't help myself. Before like Rise of Skywalker came out, I said, I'm not going to read any reviews. I'm going to go in open mind and just come up with my own opinion. And then I looked at the reviews. I can't help it. For Scoob, I actually held off. I was going to watch it that night. And then I forget why. We didn't end up watching it. A few days later, I broke down and I looked up the Rotten Tomatoes score. The 55%. It's not shocking. It's better than I was expecting it to land somewhere around a 30. Mm-hmm. From what I understand, the movie is afraid to admit that it's a Scooby-Doo movie. It kind of goes away from a lot of the tropes of the Scooby-Doo show. Scooby and Shaggy, I think, are separated from the group throughout most of the movie. They're getting sucked up by an alien spaceship.
Well, that happened in the cartoons pretty often as well.
That's true.
Yeah.
Whoever wrote the article I read probably never even seen a Scooby-Doo episode in their life.
Yeah. I mean, when I saw the trailers, it had a feeling like they were targeting younger audiences, and it didn't feel like they really cared that much about preserving the nostalgia factor.
Yeah. We got to try watching it though. I still have a desire to watch Scoob. I think we should watch it.
All right,
and
fine.
we need to find more movies to watch. I was thinking about our mom. She watches a lot of movies and TV by herself. Scoob could be a perfect family film. We all get together and we can watch it together.
So on our list now is Scoob, Sonic, and Detective Pikachu.
Some instant classics, I'm sure. Xavier Lee in the chat says Uncharted Drake's Fortune for a film adaptation.
Well, they're making that with Tom Holland.
That's right. That
instead
movie,
of Nathan, what's his name?
Nathan Fillion.
Yeah.
He's kind of aged out of the role now.
Come on, technology.
Yeah, de-aging works so great.
Just
for
put
Robert
his
De
face
Niro.
on Tom Holland's face.
Dude, I'm sure, 1,000% sure we will see deep fakes of that after the movie. After the trailer comes out, we'll see that.
Definitely.
That movie's insane. It's gone through, I think, 7 or 8 different directors over the years. It looks like it's finally actually going to get made. At one point, Mark Wahlberg was going to play Nathan Drake. He aged out of the role. I think he's still going to be in the movie, but now he's Nathan Drake's like uncle or something, or his friend or something like that. All right, we got one more headline, Alon, and this is one I saved this one for last because it's kind of hard to get a reaction out of you. I feel like you don't really care about a lot of stuff, but I've got one that I think might get you a little bit excited.
Okay.
Are you ready for the final headline? Now I'm going to turn to the camera and go back into YouTube mode. All right. Upgrade is getting a TV series. So if you remember back in 2018, Blumhouse Productions came out with a film called Upgrade. Wikipedia describes it as a cyberpunk action body horror. The premise of this movie, Gray Trace, a technophobe, is paralyzed. He gets a chip in his brain that gives him back control of his body, but the chip, called STEM, begins speaking to him. And STEM, this artificial intelligence, can take control of his body, helps him get revenge on the men responsible for his wife's death. Oh, do you remember this movie?
Yeah, I do. We were in one of those small theaters with the reclining chairs. It was a great experience.
It was one of those smaller, low budget, as always with Blumhouse Productions, one of those smaller, low budget movies, but a really solid thriller. I remember it came out around the same time as Venom, and the two were pretty similar.
Yeah.
And even the main actor in this movie, whose name escapes me, looks kind of similar to Tom Hardy, at least when he has the beard.
Yeah, Upgrade was definitely better though.
Yeah, you're the one who saw both. I didn't see Venom, but you saw both.
I saw
of them,
Venom
right?
on an airplane, like most people.
Yeah, and Upgrade was better, right?
Definitely.
So Deadline reports that a TV series is in the works, and I know what you're thinking, Alon. You're thinking this is probably going to be a reboot that has nothing to do with the movie. That's where you're wrong. Leigh Whannell, the director of the original film, is coming back to direct the series, and he is a solid director. Not only did he do Upgrade, he directed the recent Invisible Man movie. So it's awesome to see him moving from movies to television. Tim Walsh will be the showrunner. He most recently ran the show Treadstone on USA. That was the spinoff of the Bourne movies. The premise of the series, Upgrade, the series picks up a few years after the events of the film and broadens the universe with an evolved version of STEM and a new host, imagining a world in which the government repurposes STEM to help curb criminal activity. Crystal Zeev Houghton and James Rowland will also be in the writer's room. They helped run the second season of the USA series, The Purge, which also got a TV series. So first, before we get into any more detail, what's your reaction, Alon, to an Upgrade TV series?
Do you know what channel it's going to be on?
They haven't said yet, but based off who's involved, my guess is it's going to be USA, who brought us Mr. Robot.
Huh. That's true. Usually when it's a channel that has commercials, you're
a little hesitant. That's right.
But
they've done some good stuff, though, mainly
true.
Mr. Robot.
Well, I did like Mr. Robot. I never finished it, but if it's up to the quality of Mr. Robot, I'm in.
And we got the original director back, so that gives me a ton of hope. And I assume the log line we got, the premise, is just scratching the surface of what's going to happen here. So, spoilers for the Upgrade film coming in about 2 seconds. If you remember, Alon, at the end of that movie, STEM essentially starts to take over. We find out that STEM is not as nice an AI as we thought. STEM actually arranged for the main character's wife's death, so STEM could get itself implanted into its head. So I think the premise is ripe with potential. You could have the government trying to use STEM. STEM kind of gets out of control. So you have the government versus STEM versus people that are probably trying to stay off the system, stay out of AI, stay out of technology. So you can get the great action and you can get the Westworld style philosophical science fiction. So I'm excited for this series. I have no idea when it's coming or when we can expect it, but anytime you tell me that the original director's involved, that just gives me a ton more hope. What about you, Alon? Looking forward to the series? Anything you would specifically want to see out of an Upgrade series?
I'm always very interested in the psychological questions of how humankind would interact with AI like this.
Mm-hmm.
So, in addition to some sweet action, just want to see some mental
sci-fi, cerebral sci-fi.
Yeah, like
we love sci-fi. So any way we can get more sci-fi on television makes us happy. So I think that wraps it up for Upgrade. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and of course, the bell icon so you get notified the next time we go live. And now back to the Daily Show. See, now the way we're doing the banter in between, we can tell people to subscribe at the end of each of the segments. It's beautiful. I'm falling in love with the format the more we do it. And back in the chat, Xavier Lee says Last of Us, another video game adaptation. That one's actually happening. It's getting an HBO series, which I know makes you happy, Alon, because on HBO, no commercials. It's not network television. And you've got the guy from Chernobyl, super dark miniseries. Another one I haven't seen, but I hear it's great, and the tone probably fits Last of Us perfectly. So that's a good call by Xavier Lee. I can't wait for that series. And he says, hell yeah for Upgrade. So Xavier Lee also looking forward to Upgrade. This one we don't have to go too deep into. Henry Cavill one.
right.
Did you never saw Man of Steel, right?
I saw Batman v Superman.
Okay. And you didn't love that movie.
I remember enjoying parts of it.
And what did you think of Henry Cavill's performance though as Superman?
I think he was great. No problems
Solid.
with him.
And
Yeah.
there was all these rumors that when Ben Affleck left the role of Batman, Henry Cavill was going to leave as Superman. And I hated hearing that because that felt a little bit like throwing the baby out with the bathwater, which is a super dark, what is it called? Saying when you really think about what that actually means. But anyway, I thought Henry Cavill was solid. And just because Ben Affleck is leaving doesn't mean you also need to lose Henry Cavill. And I think that we're at a point now with filmmaking where audiences won't get easily confused. You can see a franchise that's heading in one direction and then suddenly shift, change the canon, sort of soft reboot itself. And it's okay. I think you can mix and match different elements of the franchise, and that's fine. So you can get rid of Ben Affleck, that's fine, but keep Henry Cavill, recast Batman. And you know what? If the Zack Snyder cut of Justice League does well, bring back Ben Affleck. Have Pattinson and Affleck running around. I am totally, and I think audiences are totally open to all that. So I was a fan of Man of Steel. I liked Henry Cavill's performance as Superman in Batman v Superman, in Justice League. I even liked his dark take in Man of Steel. A lot of people complained about that, but as an actor, I thought he did a solid job. So I'm very happy to hear he's coming back. It sounds like he is not returning for a Man of Steel 2. They're talking about having him in either a Nick Fury role or a Hulk role where he shows up in supporting roles. I'm not necessarily in love with that idea, but anything that gets him back, and I'm assuming if people respond well to him, they'll start to talk about another Man of Steel. Well, and any thoughts on the Henry Cavill story?
Not really.
Yeah, that's why I saved it for the banter section. I knew you wouldn't have a lot to say about it. I don't have a lot to say about it, so I saved it for this section. Anyway, with that, Alon, any other thoughts on movies, TV, OneTake?
Let's go have our marathon of children's cartoon movies.
Yeah, that's right. Let's go key up Scoob, Pikachu Detective, and what was the other one? Sonic.
Dinky
All
King.
right, it's going to be a long night. All right, well, with that, I think we can say if you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and of course, the bell icon so you get notified the next time we go live. Thanks for watching, and see you on the next OneTake.